Nah, di 2019 ini Ibu Gati dari Ditjen IKM dan juga Aneka lebih targetnya itu apa sampai dengan akhir tahun kira-kira, Bu?
Sampai akhir tahun, karena memang kan apa yang sudah disampaikan oleh Pak Jokowi itu harus kita support, peningkatan ekspor. Oleh karena itu kami dari Kementerian Perindustrian berusaha supaya produknya IKM ini bagus. Kalau udah bagus, standarnya internasional, ekspornya gampang. Jadi ke situ tujuan kami.
Tujuan utamanya adalah bagaimana meningkatkan produk-produk ekspor yang sedang, mungkin kalau otomotif sudah banyak, Bu, ya, yang sedang digalakkan saat ini akan merambah ke bidang atau sektor yang mana, Bu, dari IKM?
Ya kembali lagi ke otomotif, Mbak. Karena
Otomotif,
ternyata, Mbak, tahu nggak? Yang namanya di Jogja itu ada IKM logam, itu produksi peleknya go-kart. Nah, kalau kerajinan memang nilainya kan nggak setinggi kalau produk logam. Jadi nilai value-nya ya, nilai jualnya itu kan lebih tinggi produk-produk logam. Nah, kalau kita genjot ini produk-produk logam ini, komponen ini, berarti nilai ekspornya bisa lebih cepat naik.
Baik, Bu. Jadi sebenarnya pelan-pelan kita sudah mulai siap ya bahwa IKM kita juga tidak kalah dibandingkan produk-produk dari mancanegara, dan ya memang IKM sebagai industri yang menampung sekitar 11,6 juta pekerja, tidak salah kalau disebut sebagai tulang punggung perekonomian bangsa. Ibu, sukses selalu untuk Ibu dan juga untuk Ditjen IKM dan Aneka Kemenperin. Sampai berjumpa kembali dengan topik-topik menarik lainnya, Bu.
Ya,
sukses
terima kasih
untuk Anda. Iya, pemirsa, demikian Decision Maker, kita berbincang terkait dengan bagaimana IKM itu bisa menjadi tulang punggung perekonomian bangsa. Dan saya Prisa Somdatu pamit undur diri, sampai berjumpa kembali.
PT Perusahaan Gas Negara Persero TBK atau Pegas dari MSCI Global Standard Index. Apakah tekanan yang terjadi masih akan terus berlanjut?
Jadi kalau kita belum berhasil break di atas 6.000, jadi nampaknya kita masih akan mundar-mandir ya.
Government extends the emergency restrictions until end of July. Krakatau Steel posted positive performance in the first half. Hello, good evening viewers. Market Headlines is ready to provide you information from business, economic and capital market sector. And as the pandemic is still ongoing, we will provide you the latest COVID-19 information. And please stay safe by taking some simple precautions, such as physical distancing, wearing a mask, avoiding crowds, cleaning your hands, and having less mobility. And with me, Fajar Wayong, this is Market Headline. Let's open up Market Headline. President Joko Widodo has decided to extend the implementation of the emergency restrictions until Sunday, July 25, 2021. In the same time, the President ensured that the restrictions will be eased gradually if the number of cases show a downward trend. The government has decided to extend the implementation of the emergency restrictions until Sunday, July 25, 2021. In his statement, President Joko Widodo will ease the restrictions gradually if the number of cases begins to show a downward trend.
Karena itu, jika tren kasus terus mengalami penurunan, maka tanggal 26 Juli 2021 pemerintah akan melakukan pembukaan secara bertahap. Saya minta kita semuanya bisa bekerja sama bahu-membahu untuk melaksanakan PPKM ini dengan harapan kasus akan segera turun dan tekanan kepada rumah sakit juga menurun.
The regulation on relaxation of restrictions conveyed by the President covers traditional market activities, restaurants, non-essential and non-critical sectors. Previously, the government implemented emergency restrictions since July 3, 2021, which were expected to suppress the transmission of COVID-19 so that health services could function more optimally to serve patients. IDX Channel reports. Meantime, economists mentioned three things that the government must pay attention to in extending the PPKM until the end of July. The three things are economic growth that will be depressed, the threat of an explosion of layoffs, and an increase in the poverty rate. INDEF's Executive Director Tauhid Ahmad said the government was in a very dilemma to extend the emergency PPKM. The dilemma is if the emergency PPKM is not extended, the handling of COVID-19 will not be completed optimally because Indonesia is currently entering its highest wave of positive cases of COVID-19. Then if it is extended, it must be confirmed how long it will be extended so that there is certainty for economic recovery. He even mentioned three things that the government must pay attention to in extending the PPKM until the end of July. The three things are economic growth that will be depressed, the threat of an explosion of layoffs, and an increase in the poverty rate. Therefore, Tauhid asked the government to be able to take a stand in anticipating the worst case in the extension of the emergency PPKM. Anticipation that the government can do, according to him, is to reallocate the 2021 state budget, then strengthen the portion of social assistance, and the scenario of national economic recovery in 2021 must be revised again. Jakarta, Gilang Praditya for IDX Channel. Based on the instruction of the Home Affairs Minister, the government officially no longer uses the term of emergency PPKM. The government chose the term PPKM Level 4. The new term will take effect July 21 and will end July 25, 2021. The government officially no longer uses the term enforcement of community activity restrictions or emergency PPKM. The government chose the term PPKM Level 4. This is in accordance with the instruction of the Minister of Home Affairs number 22 of 2021 concerning the implementation of Level 4 COVID-19 activity restrictions in the Java and Bali regions. In the instruction, the determination of the regional level is guided by the indicators for adjusting public health efforts and social restrictions in dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic set by the Minister of Health. PPKM Level 4 will take effect July 21st and will end July 25, 2021. The government will only relax PPKM Level 4 if cases of COVID-19 transmission decline on July 26, 2021. Broadly speaking, the rules in PPKM Level 4 are not much different from the rules for emergency PPKM. Some of the rules applied, for example, 100% work from home for the non-essential sector. Then there are the closures of malls, shopping centers, and trade centers. Crowded activities such as wedding receptions are prohibited. Schooling is done by distance learning. Houses of worship are still prohibited from holding congregational worship. There is also an obligation to show vaccine cards for long-distance travelers, and also an obligation to show PCR test results for airplane passengers and antigen test results for other modes of transportation. IDX Channel reports. And moving on to global update, according to latest research, India's excess death during the pandemic could be a staggering 10 times the official COVID-19 toll. Meanwhile, Japan's exports in June jumped 48.6% from the year before, marking the fourth straight month of growth. And more stories on today's International Minute. India's excess deaths during the pandemic could be a staggering 10 times the official COVID-19 toll, likely making it modern India's worst human tragedy, according to the most comprehensive research yet on the ravages of the virus. Most experts believe India's official toll of more than 414,000 dead is a vast undercount, but the government has dismissed those concerns as exaggerated and misleading. The report released estimated excess deaths, the gap between those recorded and those that would have been expected, to be 3 million to 4.7 million between January 2020 and June 2021. Netflix reported its worst slowdown in subscriber growth in 8 years as people emerge from their pandemic cocoons, so it's adding a new attraction to its marquee video game. The video streaming giant announced it will offer video games in its existing subscription plans at no extra cost, but didn't say when that service will launch or what kind of games it will be developing. The confirmation of the long-anticipated expansion came in conjunction with the release of Netflix's latest earnings report. Japan's exports in June jumped 48.6% from the year before, marking the fourth straight month of growth. Imports for the month grew 32.7%, totaling 6.83 trillion yen. Exports for the month totaled 7.2 trillion yen. The increases were exaggerated by a plunge in trade last year due to the pandemic, but they highlight the recovery in the world's third largest economy as a global rebound in business activity and travel boosts demand. South Korea has reported a new daily high for coronavirus cases, putting pressure on authorities to extend their toughest distancing rules. The 1,784 cases confirmed in the previous 24-hour period is the biggest single-day jump since the pandemic began. South Korea's daily caseload has been above 1,000 for the past 2 weeks amid a slow vaccination program, lax public vigilance, and the spread of the more contagious Delta variant of the virus. IDX Channel reports. Market headline will be right back after this quick break. Stay tuned.
Kini aplikasi mClears hadir di handphone Anda untuk memudahkan transaksi Anda. Informasi aktivitas clearing dan penjaminan tidak lagi hanya dapat diakses melalui komputer di kantor Anda, melainkan dapat diakses di mana saja dan kapan saja dalam genggaman Anda. Fitur-fitur mClears, Equity Clearing dan Settlement adalah fitur di mana Anda dapat melihat posisi kewajiban settlement anggota clearing hingga nilai alternate case settlement serta informasi gagal bayar. Risk Management adalah fitur di mana Anda dapat melihat posisi trading limit, kolateral, MKBD, portofolio harian, risk charge anggota clearing dan kombinasi, serta nilai minimum cash collateral. Derivatif adalah fitur di mana Anda dapat melihat posisi trading limit, margin call, dan informasi clearing derivatif. Terkait pinjam-meminjam efek, terdapat fitur mengenai borrowing information dan lendable pool information, serta lending revenue dan borrowing fee. Serta menu lain yang menampilkan informasi mengenai haircut, risk charge saham, dan nilai harga penyelesaian harian dan harga penyelesaian final. Selain itu, Anda juga dapat mengakses fitur pengumuman, peraturan, dan informasi layanan KPEI pada aplikasi mClears. Download aplikasi mClears di App Store atau Google Play Store. Lakukan registrasi user Anda dengan menggunakan alamat email berdomain resmi yang sesuai dengan anggota clearing Anda. Setelah registrasi, Anda akan diberikan kode OTP di email Anda untuk verifikasi. Dan aplikasi mClears Anda siap untuk digunakan. Anda dapat mengakses seluruh menu pada aplikasi mClears dengan melakukan aktivasi berlangganan premium yang dapat dilakukan dengan memilih menu Get Premium. Download aplikasinya sekarang, lakukan registrasi, dan dapatkan kemudahan dalam genggaman tangan Anda. Kemudahan informasi KPEI dalam genggaman Anda.
Welcome back on Market Headline. As government decided to extend the emergency PPKM implementation, President Joko Widodo ensures that the government will continue to distribute social assistance to communities affected by the PPKM. The government ensures that it will continue to distribute social assistance to communities affected by the policy of emergency PPKM. President Joko Widodo said that the government had allocated an additional budget of 55.21 trillion rupiah for social protection programs.
Untuk meringankan beban masyarakat yang terdampak, pemerintah mengalokasikan tambahan anggaran perlindungan sosial 55,21 triliun rupiah berupa bantuan tunai yaitu BST, BLT desa, kemudian PKH, juga bantuan sembako, bantuan kuota internet, dan subsidi listrik diteruskan.
In addition, Jokowi said the government would provide incentives for informal micro enterprises amounting to 1.2 million rupiah. Jokowi claimed to have ordered the ministers to immediately distribute the aid to people who are entitled to receive it. IDX Channel reports. The extension of the emergency restrictions was followed by the allocation of trillions of rupiah for social assistance. The emergency restrictions are also feared to have an impact on a wave of layoffs, which will also contribute to Indonesia's economic growth. So for more clarity, let's dig deeper in these following infographics. Let's move to the first graphic. We can see the additional budget allocation for social assistance. The first category is Basic Foods Program, 7.5 trillion, Regional Government Assistance, 7.08 trillion, Rice Distribution, 3.58 trillion, Extension of Electricity Subsidy, 1.91 trillion rupiah, Pre-Employment Card Program, 10 trillion, Internet Quota Subsidy, 5.54 trillion rupiah. In total, 39.19 trillion rupiah. The data is taken from Ministry of Finance. This additional fund for social is aimed to ease the burden on affected communities, especially with the extension of the emergency restrictions until July 26th. In an official statement, President Joko Widodo stated that the government will also provide incentives for informal micro-enterprises, in which the budget prepared is 1.2 million rupiah for 1 million micro-enterprises. And for this reason, Jokowi has asked the relevant ministers to immediately distribute social protection, of course, right on target, and is truly accepted by people in need. And not only having an impact on the allocation of additional social assistance, the extension of the emergency restrictions also brings the threat of a wave of layoffs, especially in one of the affected sectors, the retail sectors. And let's directly see the estimation on the next graphic. So retail sectors is one of the most affected sectors, while the threat of layoffs for shopping center workers is already estimated. The total employees of these sectors is 280,000, and not including tenant employees, and potential layoffs for shopping center workers is around 84,000 workers, or around 30% of total employees. This data is taken from Indonesian Shopping Center Management Association. And General Chairperson of the Indonesian Shopping Center Management Association, Alfonsus Wijaya, say that layoffs were the last policy option taken by the management.
He explained that there are several stages before employees finally experience layoffs. First, employees are laid off with fixed wages paid in full. And second, employees are laid off with wages paid in part. And lastly, layoffs. And currently, most mall employees were laid off either with full or partial wages, depending on the capabilities of each mall owner. And according to Alphonsus, the condition of mall entrepreneurs this year is tougher than 2020 because their reserve funds have been depleted to maintain their business. And in relation to the potential wave of layoffs, the government said it had allocated funds to help the laid-off workers through the pre-employment card program. So how big is the allocation? Let's check the answer in the next graphic. So we can see in the third graphic the allocations for pre-employment card program. The initial allocation is 20 trillion rupiah for 5.6 million participants. And regarding the emergency restrictions, the government add the allocations by 10 trillion rupiah for more 2.8 million participants of pre-employment card program. And Finance Minister Sri Mulyani said the pre-employment card program was considered effective in helping people affected by layoffs. She explained that the government initially allocated a budget in the pre-employment card of 20 trillion rupiah, which was given to 5.6 million participants. And with an additional budget of 10 trillion, the number of pre-employment card participants can be increased by 2.8 million people. On the other hand, she said that the incentives for additional pre-employment quotas remain the same, namely training cost of 1 million rupiah per participant. Likewise, with the incentive fee of 600,000 per month. And moreover, the implementation of restrictions due to the high number of COVID-19 cases also has the potential to reduce Indonesia's economic growth rate. So how far does it go down? Let's check it out in the next graphic. So Fitch cut its projection on Indonesia's 2021 economic growth. The agency said that the Indonesia's economic growth on this year only 4.8% or much lower than the previous projection at 5.3%. The main reason is the increased risk from the recent surge in COVID-19 cases and the cut or the trimmed projection on Indonesia economic growth pose risks to financial markets, both bank and non-bank. And Fitch hopes that the projected economic downturn will not decline further in the future. On the other hand, not only reducing the pace of the economy, Fitch sees that the impact of the spike in domestic COVID-19 cases can have an impact on other financial sector, where debtors will ask for an extension for loan restructuring to banks and non-banks. The goal is that they can delay the obligation to repay the loan principal and interest. And in fact, according to Fitch records, credit restructuring at 12 large banks has increased by 21.5% in the first quarter of 2021. This condition makes the ratio of non-performing loans also increase, swell to 3.1% in first quarter of 2021. And hopefully, viewers, the extension of emergency restrictions will be able to lower the daily case rate, and then the economic recovery of all aspects can be continued soon. And stay tuned with us, Market Headline. We'll be right back after this break.
Ingin menjalani kehidupan yang mapan dan masa depan yang sejahtera? Sikapi uang dengan bijak. Mulailah berinvestasi di pasar modal. Dengan membeli saham melalui Bursa Efek maupun perusahaan sekuritas, Anda dapat menikmati hasil keuntungan dari perusahaan-perusahaan besar yang tersedia. Pastikan Anda berinvestasi di perusahaan yang memiliki izin resmi. Cerdas mengelola, masa depan sejahtera. Otoritas Jasa Keuangan. Lembaga pengawas industri jasa keuangan yang terpercaya.
Awalnya memang pengalaman pribadi dulu ya Mbak ya. Jadi kalau awalnya itu saya sebelum usaha itu sempat bekerja dulu. Jadi karena saya pengen memperbaiki gitu pola hidup dan pola makan saya pada waktu itu. Gitu.
Oke, jadi secara tidak langsung sebenarnya keluarga pun mendukung ya Kak Sandra untuk menjalani bisnis ini.
Deal-dealan ya Mbak ya sama suami. Kalau oke, kamu cari modal, saya mau mulai usaha gitu.
Welcome back. At the Jakarta Composite Index Intraday Movement, earlier today, JCI was open at the level of 6,034.57. And then approaching the closing time on the first session, the index was on the level of 6,037.78. And then the index was showing strengthening trend by the second session closing time. Index was closed at the level of 6,029.98. In short, JCI went up 0.21%. And next, we're going to see the sectoral movement. Leading the dynamics of today's trading, we got industry as the leader of strengthening trend that went up 1.33%. Cyclic sector went up 1.17%. And we got transportation and logistic as the leader of weakening trend that went down 1.88%, and health went down 1.65%. And moving on to top gainers and top losers, here are the key highlights from today's trading session. Bank Rakyat Indonesia went up 1.06%, Bank Ganesha went up 16.57%, Mayora Indah or Mari went up 8.11%, and Kras went up 14.50%. Mari stands for Mahaka Radio Integra. And meantime, the top losers for today's trading, we got Telkom, went down 0.31% to the level of 3,210 rupiah per share. BRIS went down 0.77% to the level of 2,570 rupiah per share. Agro went down 3.06% to the level of 2,220 rupiah per share. And then Aneka Tambang went down 3.03% to the level of 2,560 rupiah per share. And next, we're going to see the intraday movement of rupiah towards US dollar. So rupiah opened at the level of 14,550. Rupiah was also showing weakening trend towards US dollar and was closed at the level of 14,541. And in summary, rupiah went down 0.28%. Krakatau Steel posted a net profit growth of 619.73% year-on-year in the first half of 2021.
Krakatau Steel posted a net profit growth of 619.73% year-on-year in the first half of 2021. Based on financial reports, the company posted revenue of $1.05 billion in the first semester of 2021. This achievement was up 90.88%. From there, the company was able to record net profit of $32.46 million. This achievement grew by 619.73% from $4.51 million in the first semester of 2020. Krakatau Steel's management revealed that the net profit was equivalent to 475 billion rupiah, up 601.3% from 67 billion at the end of June 2020. Krakatau Steel's EBITDA until June 2021 increased to 1.2 trillion rupiah, where the EBITDA almost doubled the realization in 2020, which amounted to 687 billion rupiah. President Director of Krakatau Steel, Silmi Karim, said the sales value of Krakatau Steel increased by 90.9% to 15.3 trillion rupiah in the first semester, compared to last year of 8 trillion rupiah. IDX Channel reports.
Indosement Tunggal Prakarsa reported that cement sales in first half 2021 were quite positive. The company reported that sales volume grew by 6%.
In the midst of the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, Indosement Tunggal Prakarsa assessed that cement sales in the first 6 months of 2021 were quite positive. According to the Director and Corporate Secretary of Indosement, Antonius Marcos, the cement sales volume grew 6% in the first semester. He assessed that the private property and residential sectors remained dominant in the first semester. He also believes that the company's cement sales are still in a positive trend in the second half, with a record that the COVID-19 pandemic in Indonesia can be more controlled and does not worsen, so that it has an impact on the national cement industry. Moreover, the cement industry plays an important role in maintaining the stability of the national economy. Meanwhile, Indosement still maintains its sales growth target of up to 4% throughout 2021. The allocation of capital expenditure is still targeted at between 1 trillion to 1.1 trillion rupiah. And until June, approximately 25% of the total capex has been absorbed. IDX Channel reports.
And step aside from market condition as coronavirus pandemic takes big role on current economic situation. Here it is an update data about coronavirus globally. And viewers, the news close our market headlines today. Please enjoy our next program on IDX Channel, Your Trustworthy Economic, Business and Capital Market Channel. And as the COVID-19 pandemic is still going on, keep protecting your family by following the health protocols, wearing face masks, keep your distance and stay away from crowds. Wash your hands through running water and also continue to support the vaccination program to accelerate the creation of herd immunity. And I'm Fajar Wayong. Have a nice evening and stay safe.
Apakah Anda memiliki perusahaan dan ingin mengembangkannya? Perlu dana lebih untuk ekspansi? Ingin kepercayaan lebih dari kreditur dan bank? Perlu peningkatan image perusahaan? Perlu strategic partners? Menghadapi potensi sengketa dalam keluarga pemilik? Butuh penerapan good corporate governance yang lebih baik? Go Public adalah solusinya. Mengapa Go Public? Dengan Go Public, Anda akan menikmati manfaat seperti akses pendanaan yang luas dari pasar modal, peningkatan image perusahaan, likuiditas dan valuasi saham yang menguntungkan bagi founder, peningkatan profesionalisme perusahaan, pertumbuhan dan kelangsungan usaha, peningkatan loyalitas karyawan, serta insentif pajak. Melalui Bursa Efek Indonesia adalah lompatan besar menuju transformasi pertumbuhan perusahaan. Bergabunglah dengan ratusan perusahaan yang telah berkembang pesat dengan Go Public. Go Public, lebih baik.